Welcome back to another edition of Fly Tying for Beginners. Today we're going to tie a Beadhead Crackback Hendrickson. The hook that I have in the vise is a 3761 BL barbless. This is a size 12. This is a 1 extra long wet fly nymph hook, and this is from Green Caddis Outfitters, greencaddis.com. I have a 3mm copper bead on there, and that's copper is a pretty close color to the nymph itself. I'm not going to put any weight on here because a crackback is actually the back of the mayfly cracks open as they're going to the surface so that the adult can come out of it. I'm going to use a olive brown thread, and this is 70 denier. Put a base of thread down, and we're going to bring that back to just to the end of the flat on this barbless hook. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the excess. I'm going to start by putting on a tail. For the tail, I'm going to use a wood duck flank. And when we use the wood duck, we're going to take a little bit off of each side here. You can see that the stem, the barbels on each side of the stem are the same. I'm going to take a few of them off each side so that I can maintain the same amount of hackle barbels or barbels to each side. And you'll see the reason why when we get to the front of the fly. I'm going to match up the tips on here. We're going to tie them in. We want that tail can be about half the length to 3/4 the length of the shank. Going to tie them in. Let's give it a loose loop and then pin it down. I'm going to bring that right up to the front. Plug it right tight against that. That'll just give you a little help in securing that bead maybe. Bring that back just to the end of the thorax. Just adds a little bit of extra underbody there. Not very much, but it's there. I'm going to put a rib on this, and this rib, this is just a piece of thread. You can see it's a kind of an orange brown, and this is a heavy thread. This is actually a nylon sewing thread. It's not all nylon, you know, there's a lot of thread there, but that's just, it's not like I'm using a monofilament. We're going to secure that and just leave that on the side because that is going to be our rib. Now I'm going to take Hendrickson Dubbing, and this is an Antron blend. This is a light Antron. And we're going to dub our noodle. We want it skinnier in at the top because we want to make a tapered body on this. I'm going to go ahead and bring that thread back to the tail position first. Actually going to put a wrap I got underneath, and that was just the plain thread that I put the wrap underneath with. It kind of splits that a little bit and holds it out straight. Tighten that up. And we're going to build a taper here. Now I'm going to take that rib and I'm just going to wrap that rib. See, it gives a nice, dark, distinct rib there. We'll just tie that in. And we can remove that excess. Now for our wing case, our crackback wing case, I'm going to use a gray Goose Biot. If you have a gray turkey Biot, that would be good for this also. These Goose Biots are almost too skinny. I have two of them. I'm going to go ahead and tie them in. And when we tie these in, you kind of want to leave a little bit of space in between them. But I believe when you fold them over, they should give you that little bit of space, like that crack there. Let me take that little piece off. Should be looking at something like that. Now I'm going to use the same dubbing, and we're going to make the thorax. And we want that thorax, of course, to be a little bit larger. I'm going to actually dub this on a little bit heavier. We'll see what that does first. I'm going to go down, and I'm going to come back up. Let me tighten that one up a little bit and stretch it just a little bit. There we go. Bring that back down. Now we're going to take our Goose Biots, and we can take the both of them at once, and we're going to fold them forward. And we're going to tie them in. You can bring them up and put a couple of wraps in front. I'm going to go ahead and trim them off. You can see that crack back there. It will be distinctly seen by the fish. Good contrast there. We're going to take our wood duck flank once again. And the reason we want to keep those barbels the same on the stem is we're going to use these for legs. I'm going to pull off from one side and then the other for legs on each side. And when I take off from one side, I'm going to take that same amount off the other side, and that's a very easy way to to ensure that you have the same amount. I'm going to take the flank, and I'm going to use that natural curve, and I want that natural curve to actually point out. Just going to put a couple of wraps in there just to hold them in there for now. And then you can adjust them very easy. I want to keep them to the sides. I'm going to take that other side of the flank feather, and using that natural curve once again, I'm going to hold them in on this side, pin them in there with a couple of wraps. Now I can adjust them, bring them to the side. Now I can pull them very easily to the length that I want them. Be careful when you pull, because as you pull the feather, it's getting skinnier and they actually get looser. Going to take the far one, and I'm going to pull that. And we want to make sure that they're the same, just about the same length. There we go. Now I'm going to tighten them up. Going to go ahead and remove the excess. And if you're using real wood duck like I am, you can take these pieces and put them on the side just because the end is cut off. You can use these for a wing case on different flies. Just get yourself an empty bag and put your trimmings in there. Now I'm going to take just a little bit more of the Hendrickson Dubbing, just enough to cover those threads. It's a very skinny noodle. Actually a little bit longer than I wanted, but Okay, now I have a little bit of dubbing left. I'm going to take my whip finish, and I'm going to whip finish it with that little bit of dubbing on there. And we really aren't going to be able to see that thread at all. We're going to trim that off. I'm going to put a little bit of head cement on the bead there. Just go ahead and touch that dubbing actually and the bead on the top. And I touched the stuff off, and you can see it turned it a little bit darker there. And here we have a Beadhead Crackback Hendrickson. Hope that you learned something from this video. Hope you would subscribe to my channel. Please refer me to your friends, leave comments, questions, suggestions, and most of all, thank you very much for watching my videos.